If Shanks regenerated his arm, he might cause me a little trouble. Would you lose though? Nah, I'd win. Stand proud, useless mid. You're weaker than Luffy. 2008. The start of the Sabaody archipelago arc, one of the most hype and tragic arcs in One Piece. But what made this arc so hype was the introduction of the 12th supernova. Up until this point, we had solely been following the journey of the Straw Hat crew and their trials and tribulations, but just as they were about to enter the new world, we are shown that 9 other rookie pirate crews, just like the Straw Hats, had been through similar challenges like the Straw Hats, and they were all currently on the same island as the Straw Hats, the Sabaody archipelago. Luffy's bounty pre-time skip, 300 million berries. Among all the supernova, one crew stood out from the rest, the crew of Eustass Kid. Kid was the only supernova but had a higher bounty than Luffy at the time, a bounty of 315 million berries. Kid's right-hand man, Killer, was also a supernova, just as Luffy's right-hand man, Zoro, was a supernova too. The parallels really just wrote themselves at this point. Kid even had a final attack that looked like Luffy's Gear 3rd punch. Kid was being written as a rival to Luffy for the new world. To me, it seemed like Kid was going to become the new generation's Whitebeard, and Luffy would be this new generation's Roger. And you know what? That could still happen, but the journey there includes Kid taking 1 million L's along the way. This is the life of Eustass Kid so far. 2010, the end of the 2-year time skip. During this time, Luffy had been trained by Rayleigh. Luffy learned all 3 haki types, as well as inventing Gear 4th. Luffy prepared for 2 whole years before he went into the new world, whereas all his rivals had to learn about the new world's terrors the hard way. What the Kid pirates went through in these 2 years is a story of struggle and perseverance. It seemed like everything that could go wrong for Kid did go wrong, but it also serves as a good reference for the hell that Luffy would have experienced if he straight up went into the new world after Marineford instead of doing his 2 years of training. The first L. It's mentioned during Wano arc that somewhere during the time skip, the Kid pirates lost a battle against the red hair pirates. What makes this such a humiliating defeat for Kid is that it's heavily insinuated that Ben Beckman was the one who got rid of Kid's arm. Our enemy must be furious. Ben Beckman, that's rich coming from you. Who do you think he's mad at? Lucky Roo, meaning the Kid pirates didn't even get to fight Shanks before they got defeated. Now, to be fair, it makes complete sense that Kid's crew needs to at least get humbled once by a Yonko crew. Even Luffy got one shot by Kaido in his first encounter, but Kid didn't just get humbled by one Yonko. He went on a generational lose streak against every Yonko. The second L, another fight against a Yonko crew without fighting a Yonko. Kid had done it again. Kid was quickly chased out of Big Mom's territory, but in return, Kid had damaged one of the Sweet Commanders as well as sinking 2 of Big Mom's ships. So to me, this L didn't seem as bad as the others. He didn't lose a body part this time, and he actually achieved something. Although nothing too impressive, it was still something. The third L, shortly after Dressrosa, when Luffy and Law had defeated Doflamingo, Kid made an alliance with Hawkins and Apu with the hopes of defeating Shanks. It seemed all was going well for Kid, but as we all know by now, Oda hates Kid and will do anything in his power to make Kid suffer. And I mean anything, because Oda made Kaido jump down from a sky island just to destroy Kid and the alliance. And that's not even the worst part, because it turns out that Apu set them all up from the beginning and was a part of Kaido's crew. Hawkins gave up and joined Kaido's crew, but Kid and Killer tried to fight back and were inevitably defeated. What happened next was brutal. Kid possibly suffered the most out of any One Piece character, not including backstories because all of those are next level. Kid was brutally beaten by Kaido, and then he was sent to a prison, forcing him to have his spirit broken. The worst thing Kaido did to Kid was force Kid's best friend and right-hand man Killer to eat a smile fruit, making Killer unable to ever swim again and also taking away his ability to show negative emotions. So Killer would be constantly laughing even if he didn't want to. To put into perspective how bad this is, imagine if Zoro was forced to go through what happened to Killer. Luffy would be furious, and then a few seconds later, Luffy would be laughing with Zoro too, because Luffy can't have serious moments in Gear 5 anymore without laughing. Maybe smile fruits or failed Gomu Gomu fruits. Redemption. Kid and Law vs Big Mom is the greatest showcase of Devil Fruit fights in One Piece. But before we take a look at that battle, we need to talk about the fight Killer had against Hawkins. I remember reading the Killer vs Hawkins battle and being amazed at how this fight had the technical creativity of a JoJo stand battle, whilst also keeping the emotional strength that One Piece fights always had. Hawkins had abilities that made him damn near unbeatable, unless you outsmarted him in some absurd way, and that's exactly what Killer did. Killer allowed Hawkins to cut off his arm, which was meant to get rid of Kid's arm, but the thing is, Kid's arm doesn't exist, since Ben Beckman had already gotten rid of it, so all the damage went to Hawkins, which finally allowed Killer to go all out and destroy Hawkins in some of the most satisfying double spreads Oda has ever drawn. This fight really emphasized the bond between Kid and Killer. Killer was willing to sacrifice himself in order to let Kid have his chance at finally beating a Yonko, loyalty rivaling that of Zoro. Kid and Law vs Big Mom is the most creative fight in One Piece. It's a masterpiece that shows the full potential of what Oda can do with the Devil Fruit fights, and it isn't your standard I can hit harder than you interaction, summoning mechanical balls, turning Big Mom into a magnet, creating a fucking railgun. Kid went above and beyond in this battle, and that's just me hyping up Kid, because honestly, Law's awakening was super hyped too, and the thematic tie-in with Law's Devil Fruit and Corazon when silencing Big Mom was perfect. What made this victory against Big Mom so satisfying was the fact that she's truly frightening. It felt like she had an infinite health bar where she could constantly regenerate by taking lifespan, but that made Kid using a railgun to shoot her down into a volcano all the more satisfying. Throughout Kid's adventures in the New World, he's experienced defeat time and time again, but it's always inspiring how despite the hardships he's been through, he'd always get back up and focus on the next goal. Success is failing 9 times and getting up 10, and that's exactly what Kid went through in this fight against Big Mom and Oda. This is a new beginning for Kid, and now that he's gotten a taste of victory, he'll never go back to his past self, the Kid that always took L's. The 4th L. Well, that taste of victory didn't last long. The Kid pirates are directed to Elbaf by their logpost when they soon learn that the red hair pirates are in Elbaf. This makes Kid motivated to take down Shanks, as last time he didn't even get to fight Shanks and he still lost his arm. It tells Killer, but only if I lose. And this is just a straight up death flag, mirroring Gojo's "now I'd win" confidence. But this time it's different because Kid has the railgun. Kid loads it up ready to take down all the ships around him, and Shanks sees a bit into the future and stops Kid immediately, one-shotting Kid with his named attack, Divine Departure. And just to add insult to injury, Dory and Broggy, that's right, those 2 giants from Little Garden, take out the whole Kid pirate ship. We are left with these chilling words from the narrator. On this day in the New World in Elbaf, the pirate crew, led by Eustass Kid, a man worth 3 billion, was completely eradicated. That chapter was insane. When I read it, I was speechless because Oda was so merciless with the way he took down Kid. Kid didn't even get a hit in. Oda could have at least allowed that, because Oda allowed Law to have a great fight against Blackbeard, where Law's loss was understandable, especially since Law was jumped by the rest of Blackbeard's crew. Oda might actually be a real Kid hater, but if what happened just now didn't seal the deal, then this certainly will. The 5th L. The real 5th L is making it this far into this video without liking and subscribing to my channel. Volume 104, SBS. An SBS is a question and answer format at the end of every One Piece volume between Oda and his fans. In the Volume 104 SBS, Oda revealed the backstory of Kid. Kid, Killer, Heat and Wire were born in a certain island in the South Blue, unaffiliated with the world government, which was ruled by a criminal gang that acted as its royalty. The island was subdivided into 4 districts, which each had its own local criminal gang, each led by the 4 aforementioned characters, with conflicts arising on a daily basis. In spite of that, Kid and Killer had been childhood friends since they were young. At some point, Kid and Killer became close friends with a girl called Victoria, who became their first crush for the both of them. However, one day, Victoria was killed by the gang ruling the country. This drove Kid so mad that he united the 4 gangs from the 4 districts and led a coup d'etat alongside Killer, Heat and Wire to take down the criminal gang from power, overthrowing the current rule. After that event, Kid told the others that he didn't want to live in such a confined world, so he formed a pirate crew with the 4 of them and set out to sea, naming their ship the Victoria Punk in Victoria's memory. Now this backstory is fantastic. It's reminiscent of Luffy wanting to have a life of freedom after living in Great Terminal. It really aligns with the core core themes of One Piece. It's just insane that Oda would reveal the backstory in an SPS instead of in his own manga. I often hear people talk about how Oda hates Sanji, but then I think of Kid, and that can't possibly be true because Sanji has insane character development in Whole Cake Island, 2 backstories and 2 arcs, and he even beat Queen to end the disrespect once and for all. His simp gag needs to go, bro. But then I think of Kid, who went through all that suffering, got a taste of victory, and then took the biggest L of his life, practically ending his pirate career, and his backstory was revealed in a Q&A. That's real disrespect right there. Oda's a real Kid hater, but maybe Oda can prove us wrong in the future. This has been the life of Eustass Kid so far. Thank you guys for making it this far into the video. I really appreciate having you all watch this. Leave a comment below, let's start a discussion on Kid, or maybe drop some video ideas. Like the video and subscribe for more content.